Hi, thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. I'm Reverend MeeLing. I'm also known as Reverend Susan MeeLing, Lady MeeLing, Lady Dori, Belle, a few other names. So, there is the aspect where people are kind of freaking out because of the stuff that has occurred. So today is the 9th of June, 2020. There's been quite a few things that have occurred. You got the COVID-19, the quarantine, the lockdown, the Open America up again, and then you have a lot of cultural things going on throughout the United States of America as well as the world. And so I was thinking maybe, and not that I'm the end-all be-all in that regard, but maybe there's a way to find some sort of inspiration or a way to look at things in a different way. I don't know. I'm driving on my way to pick up 2 Medal of Honor artwork pieces from Washington State, and they're the 2 biggest pieces. So, seeing how it's only June, which means it's the 6th month of 2020, I'm going to give a few references for what occurred in a very short amount of time in certain comparisons to give a reference point of possibilities that could assist in other ways in reference of finding a way to be more progressive in certain regards. So I went on my Medal of Honor art project trip, and I came back just before my birthday at the end of August. And just a couple of days before my birthday, my son said he wanted to graduate high school early so that way he could go join the Army. But because of him being 17 years old, he needed my parental consent to allow him to do it. And so I did try to convince him to go through all 4 years of the high school. However, I couldn't be hypocritical because I had graduated a semester early to go and actually fight to be emancipated from my biological parents so that way I could join the United States of America's Army branch of the Armed Forces. So I couldn't be hypocritical at that point. I had to discuss with him, though he already knew a bunch of aspects in reference to what occurred to me. I didn't graduate basic training because I had the head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000 during basic training, so I'm medically retired. And so, but I deal with headaches and migraines on a daily basis. I was in a coma for a while, and I have memory deficit and cognitive disorders, and I went from college algebra with trigonometry and calculus to 2nd grade math. So he knows that side of the possibilities for that as early as in basic training. And he also knows other aspects, not just the in-between, but also the aspects of how his biological father had been. And then also to the complete opposite end of where, Medal of Honor recipients, they earn that valor and so on and so forth. And so we discussed it, and I couldn't be hypocritical. So I signed the paperwork. He was allowed to join, and then he was out of the house in Lakewood before the middle of September, living in another adult's house in a different area of Washington State. So I went from being able to see my son every day to essentially 3 times a week. And that was only to take him to school and then sometimes take him to the train to go back. Which was a big change for me because of the way it is with the head injury stuff. So after he had moved out, within a week, my now ex-boyfriend and I had a disagreement. There was a conversation, and I was introduced to the the wall and the washing machine in a different way. So that conversation ended that as he literally pushed me out the door. And so I was out of the rental house before the end of September in 2018, and actually before the technical middle of September in 2018, after the way my Medal of Honor art project trip had gone in July and August. Then I got into an apartment only because the individuals that my son was staying with would only allow me to see him if I had gotten an apartment instead of an extended stay hotel sort of setup. So then that was when it went to 3 times a week, and then in that time frame I was dealing with a bunch of other stuff as far as realizing certain problems in regards to my Medal of Honor art project and stalking and all that. And I went to go speak with Criminal Investigation Division at Joint Base Lewis McChord and was told to contact the Pentagon. Then the Tacoma police told me to contact the FBI after a few things in reference to my car got broken into. The people who lived in the apartment above mine just were constantly noisy and rowdy and all that. Initially, I thought it was just the apartment building. However, the sisters from the Jehovah's Witnesses Church and the elders from Angel Moroni's Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, founded by Prophet Joseph Smith, had informed me, no, it wasn't the building settling, it was just I had really noisy neighbors in the apartment above mine. Then I realized that they hypothetically had been causing problems to my Medal of Honor art project, and I had to literally live underneath them. From, I figured out about probably December of 2018 that they had been in the vicinity of certain areas. And so then, by January of 2019, I had already written a whole bunch of letters by hand, not typed out, by hand, to the different law enforcement, military branches, so on and so forth. In one particular mailing, I spent over $200 sending that off and getting like that sort of stuff taken care of. The people who were in N as in November 208 in the apartment above, they had not only been stomping and slamming their doors all hours of the night, they also had a neighbor across their hallway whose dog became skittish because of all the stuff that they were doing in N as in November 208. Then, when I would take a shower, and this happened once or twice, when I went to take a shower, those who have lived in apartments, you know you can hear the water turn on. Especially older apartments, you just hear it through the pipes. And I had started taking a shower, and only after a couple of minutes into the shower did I hear the male, because they walked differently, leave, and as in November 208, walk down the stairs and then knock on my door as if I was going to answer the door instead of finishing taking my shower. And then that group of males that would go in and out of there along with some females, they tried to get me to feel bad because I was carrying my bags with a bunch of books in them, and they said that I was scaring their dog. The irony of them causing their neighbor in N as in November 207's dog to have skittish issues because of their actions and stuff. And then, it got so bad because of N as in November 208, I just didn't feel comfortable being in my apartment at all, whatsoever. I couldn't breathe. I was actually having an allergic reaction. That was actually part of why I called 911 one of the times, is because I couldn't actually breathe because of some of the electrical stuff, and I have issues with technologies, especially when there's a lot of it in a concentrated area. And so I was having issues breathing. I actually had to go to the emergency room a few times because of the additional problems to the original medical issues I already deal with because of the stress from N as in November 208. And then the mail from N as in November 208 in like February or March, after I had already gone to the emergency room, came out, and after the shower thing, came out of the bushes at night to try to speak with me. After his girlfriend, or whoever she is to him, went and complained to the apartment complex because I left a letter on their door in pink writing. However, the letter that they gave to the apartment complex was not in pink writing. It just spiraled from there. I had to go through multiple doctors to attempt to get out of the lease because of how much worse they were making the stuff that I'm technically disabled, but I am medically retired. And so I've been technically disabled since 2001. And so I know I don't necessarily look it. However, my hair is as it is because I deal with headaches and migraines. I have the tattoos to help me with my memories so that I don't forget so much because sticky notes move. And I have to remember where I put my notebooks. And I have memory issues. And so, by the time of, I finally got the approval from the apartment complex to be released from my contract after 3 months of different stuff, and I still had to wait an additional month because of whatever legal stuff, despite the fact that I had multiple doctor's notes, the emergency room, and so on and so forth. And then I was finally able to leave, but because of the stuff that was going on with N as in November 208, it was just absolutely difficult. So that all happened from essentially the end of August 2018, and then the emergency room and doctor's visits in March of 2019 with all the other stuff combined before I started having to request to be released from my contract to the apartment complex because of how bad everything got with just those people. Everybody else, no problem. I had no problem with any of the other neighbors. It was literally only N as in November 208 that I had a problem with. That was it. That was it. And they created that much drama and unnecessary chaos on top of the issues as far as my Medal of Honor art project. So in that inspirational hope sort of thing, during all of that, I had written handwritten letters to try to get assistance and help. I realized certain things in reference to stuff that I had been through and done. I reorganized my thoughts so that way I had a clearer view of like timelines and stuff because of the amount of medications I had been prescribed over the years. And then when I got back to the state of Texas, because I was supposed to have, I was able to pick up all of my Medal of Honor artwork pieces that I had done at that time that were completed. There were 2 that are the biggest ones that I'm on my way to Washington State to go pick up now. However, that ex-boyfriend said he was going to drop them off. I was going to get a U-Haul so that I could put it in there and get that opportunity because he just refused to speak with me after quite a few things, and he actually changed the locks on the door so I couldn't get any of my stuff. And by the end of September of 2018. I couldn't get any of my stuff beyond what little I could get out of there. It wouldn't let me get anything else out. So, not that I didn't try. So, in 2019, after getting into the apartment that I'm in now in Texas, I've already given information in regards to my Medal of Honor art project. I clarified a few things, and then in December of 2019 through to about the end of January 2020, maybe middle of February 2020, I wrote up a new book called The Modern Day Book, for defining a bunch of different things and giving suggestions for some stuff, because I'm not finding certain legal definitions in certain references. And then, and in the state of Texas, you don't need a law degree to be an advocate. So there's that. So by technicalities, just being an advocate is legal, and you can do that sort of stuff. And so the requirements are not the exact same as in other states. And then, whatchamacallit, I had written up the trilogy in regards to scuba diving, in reference to landing at the bottom of the ocean and the different areas and the training and stuff like that that I had put myself through, and then the landing at the bottom of the ocean stuff. And then what was it? It was March that the quarantine began. So then I started doing the official YouTube videos to try to clarify things, because sometimes I don't always write as cohesively as I try to. And so wrote up a couple articles, and so I've tried to be helpful and more positive, and figuring ways to be more beneficial. And while I don't deny there have been times where I've complained and thrown my temper tantrums, I tried to do what I can as best as I could so that way I wasn't a problem. And so that way it could hopefully, do some good in that regard. And I know that the world isn't necessarily perfect because of different aspects in different ways. However, in regards to certain cultural aspects, so in, what was it? I think it was 2016, I had gone to Montana to get the Medal of Honor recipient rubbings of their markers for my Medal of Honor art project. And part of that is finding their commendations online and going and printing that out. So on one side is the rubbing that I did, and then it's painted, and then on the other side, if there's a spiritual symbol, I do a prayer associated with it. If there's no spiritual symbol, I paint a quote, and I adhere a copy of their commendation that I find online. Then I'd get it encased in glass with unfinished wood as the frame. So that way, depending on where it wound up, if they had lighter color wood, then it just fit in the decor. And if they had darker colored wood, they could stain it. Or if they had somebody who knew how to do wood burning, they could do edges and stuff like that. And so, with a few of them, the commendations that I found online said that the Medal of Honor the Medal of Honor recipient earned the Medal of Honor for, and quoting here, for gallant actions in chasing down a desperate savage. And I just thought it was from that era because it was the Indian-American War. I'm not condoning it. It's just, that's what I thought. I didn't know about hacking. I didn't realize I was being stalked. I didn't know of certain things. However, I was asked about it. And I was asked, what was my opinion? Shouldn't I change the wording? And I said, if that is how, back in the Civil War era, the Indian-American War era, if that is the wording that those guys used, I think that it is necessary to show how far the United States of America has progressed. Showing that, yes, there have been issues, and yes, here and there are some problems. There's no denying that. However, in an overall sort of way, in a greater percentage, the majority of the population of the United States of America has progressed forward and become more accepting and so on and so forth. And that was essentially the end of that discussion. And then later I was asked what would I do if I found out somebody had caused problems to my Medal of Honor art project. And I said, you don't want to know the ramifications on that. Because that spiritual stuff would be very, very different than other aspects. And I'll just leave it at that. And so that would be the year I went to go to Colorado. 2017. And so, in that, obviously there are issues here and there. There's no denying that. And when the problems arise, it's obviously shocking because in this era, we have so many advances throughout, not just the United States of America, but the world, realistically. And so, while, there are some who might not view it the exact same way. Hopefully there is a way to see inspiration, to find a better way to make the progressive change and in a better way, not where things become so relaxed that our citizens of the United States of America are incapable of, if there was a problem, and I don't just mean in the calling 911 sort of way. I mean in the, the attacks of 9/11 were in 2001. If our police department, whichever agency they're a part of, fire department and EMS guys become so lax and are not, a lot of times when an emergency happens, they're ready to do stuff. However, if our country becomes so relaxed and incapable of certain things, 9/11 was a very big deal for those especially who remember it. And so while we can relax to a degree in the United States of America, at the same time, we have to remain diligent in keeping things safe as best as possible. So that way, not just the United States of America, but even the individual cities and states are able to remain protected. And so, I'm not denying that there are certain issues culturally that, still exist, though in comparison in a lot of ways in a larger number, in a much larger number. I'm not denouncing the aspects of, I'm pointing out in the regards of, during the Civil War in comparison to now. I don't remember what year the Civil War happened, but this is 2020. So, in that time frame, a lot of stuff has progressed forward. Back in the Civil War era, I don't think they even had cars, let alone airplanes. So, just saying. And not forgetting, cell phones and laptops and desktops and tablets and so on and so forth. So hopefully that at least makes sense, and you guys can find a more positive way to influence in a brighter cause with better results. So that's what I had to say. I hope you guys have a good one, and like, share, comment, subscribe to my official YouTube channel. Have a good one.